We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. I'm Gabe Johansson here in the studio with Trevor Howard, Mike Nuss. Trevor's got some glasses on. His eyes are really, really big today. And we've got a special guest in the studio, Kelsie LPJ. Thanks for joining us, Kelsie.
Really excited to be here.
So, Kelsie, you know, you're a dear friend of ours, and we go way back now. And I have a funny story, actually. I don't know how you want me to introduce you, but I want to tell you how I met Kelsie. We met at the meetup, and she said, I want to have coffee. And I might have told this story on the podcast already. I don't know. Have I told it?
I think briefly in the very beginning you mentioned it.
So she's like, let's grab coffee. So I'm literally driving over to coffee, and I walk up to her, and 2 seconds before I walk up to her, Mark Gallegos calls me, and he says, Gabe, I made a mistake on this loan that we're doing. We have to bring an extra $100,000 to closing, and we have to have it there in 45 minutes or the deal can't close, and we lose our earnest money. And so I said, Kelsie, we have a choice. We can either reschedule coffee, or you can come with me and experience life in the fast lane. And so we hopped in my Hummer and broke probably 150 traffic laws, drove through town, all the way across town to get a cashier's check, back to escrow, and got the money to escrow so we could close that deal. That was the first time I ever hung out. She just hopped in the car with me. She said, let's do it. That was a dangerous decision, by the way, but
I felt pretty safe.
We were in a 10,000-pound Hummer, so at least we had that going for us.
And I don't think you broke that many laws.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for covering up my tracks.
I met Kelsey's dad way before I met Kelsie.
Really? How'd you meet her dad? He was your teacher?
No. He didn't warn me. He knew my partner was not a good partner. And he didn't want to partner with us because he's old and wise and knew that. But he didn't want to tell me that, and then he told me later.
Oh.
I love the old and wise part, just the old part.
I'm old and wise, so I'm not going to lose my money, but you should go off and do it yourself.
Little did I know when I was younger, he just thought it was entertaining to hear this dude pitch him on all this crazy shit, and then he just got a kick out of it. So he just liked hearing like these crazy things.
How'd you get connected with him?
Through the other dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say he doesn't think it's entertaining. It's like other people listening to this podcast. We all get like revitalized listening to it and excited about deals.
It's not entertaining.
Well, there's entertainment.
It's like this podcast, not entertaining.
It's inspiring and entertaining and educational. So,
true.
Kelsie, we want to learn about you. So tell us a little bit about your background. Before we get in, you're doing some really cool stuff right now. You're building a killer-looking cottage cluster out in Monmouth, right? So before we get into that, though, let's go back in time a little bit. Like, tell us a little bit about growing up, and was your family entrepreneurial? Were you just in the mindset that you were going to find financial freedom somehow? Like, where does this journey begin for you?
Well, as like the old elevator pitches, like I could change an outlet before I could read or write, kind of a joke.
Oh, you were working on buildings.
We were always working on the job site with my dad. Like we had to have something to do, so he would just give us like tools and materials to like.
And what kind of job was your dad doing? Was he was flipping, or he was what was he doing?
He was doing Burr method. I don't think it was called the Burr method back then, but he would buy something that needed rehab it, and then rent it, and then refinance it, or
and go do it again,
and then do it again.
How old were you when this was going on?
I honestly don't remember what was happening.
As young as you can remember, you've been in units, help and turn units.
Well, I mean, even my house, actually. So my parents, when I was 6 weeks old, moved to their property that they were remodeling. And so they made a old garage lived in a fifth wheel for a year, made an old garage into a 2-bedroom house, like cottage essentially, while they were building the main house. And then when I was 4 years old, we moved into that. So I was around construction like 24/7.
In diapers.
Most of my life.
You're on a job site from the day you're born. How old are you now?
I'm 31.
Okay. So you've been around real estate for 30 years.
Pretty much.
All right. So Dad had you guys involved. Do you have siblings?
I have 2 older siblings.
Were they helping too, or just they made you do it?
Yes. I think since I was the youngest, I was like, it seems like I was around a little bit more because my brother was playing football. My sister was doing choir and theater. And they both went off to college, and I kind of was still in the mix of things. So
all right.
it's been, I think I'm the most interested in it now. Both my siblings want nothing to do.
They're not into real estate, but you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're young, you're around buildings. Like, did you decide early on that you wanted to be involved in real estate, or what got you motivated to pursue this path? Because you weren't always a real estate developer. You were a school teacher, right?
I was a school teacher for 5-6 years there, 4 years in the States, about a year, and some change abroad. I think that originally I had just kind of I had an expectation for myself that I was going to end up in real estate. I was going to own rental properties, whatever that would look like, whether it was residential or commercial. Just seeing my parents doing it and knowing that someday I would inherit that, it was like, okay, well, this is a skill I need to learn while they're both alive so that I can do them proud when they're gone someday. And then I was working a job in 2015, I think it was, a larger department store downtown Salem, and I got a manager that I just did not click with at all. And when you have somebody who's supposed to be your mentor and your manager, and that shift changes, your whole perspective on the job changes. And I slowly went from like, I don't want to be here serving these customers. I want to be the customer. So how can I get myself there faster? But I wasn't in a position, and the partner I had at the time was very risk adverse. So I just kind of had to like sit and wait.
When you say partner, you mean your life partner, like the person you were? Okay.
Yes. I was married before for about almost 5 years. Got married at 19. It was a really great experience, but we wanted different things, so we split. So, yeah.
Very risk averse. Yeah. We talk about your spouse being the most important partnership you can have.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to be successful and do real estate, because not every spouse is down with that.
Yes. And when 21 happened and I looked at all of because I still lived in Monmouth in 2021. So when everything got crazy and expensive and the prices went up, I got to see 6 of the homes that I tried to purchase with that spouse go for sale for $300,000 to $500,000 more.
I could have made $3 million.
Yeah. If only I would have just held that for the last 4 years, I could have. Yeah.
But sometimes you got to see that to know why you should do it now. Like, I mean, that's
but I was so ready to go. I was like, come on, you're serious? Like, but things happen. I mean, it was an amicable split. We actually went and got brunch after we got divorced. It was very healthy. He invests in real estate now. But yeah, it was just like a life shift where I needed to make large leaps and bounds. So I moved to China, and I lived in China for a little less than a year because of COVID. I had to move back. Living in China and traveling, I went to about 12 different countries at the time, just because it was so cheap to travel from China to other Asian countries.
Were you teaching in China? Is that why you went there?
Yeah, so it was the cheapest. They paid for me to get over there, so it was the cheapest for me to get there. And it was also, it paid the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds ridiculous because the pay is considerably less than what you would get here, but the cost of living is so much cheaper, so.
And what year was this again?
2019.
And you hadn't started buying properties at that point, had you?
No, I had done some redevelopment, but as something I didn't figure out until I started going to SRE meetups, unless you are 20% or more on title, it does not matter for your portfolio.
Okay, so you're like helping your dad with some of his projects.
Yeah, yeah. My parents bought a property. So when I was 18, 19, they bought a commercial building from the city of Monmouth for $60,000, one of those sealed auctions. So we didn't know what other people were offering, but for whatever reason, they chose the $60,000 offer from my dad. It had a shell above a commercial space, and so I turned that into a one-bedroom apartment. And my ex and I basically did all the labor that we absolutely could because we were both going to college. Like, I was playing soccer in college at the time, and I worked 2 full-time jobs, and I was going to school full-time. So
how'd you have enough hours in the day to do all that?
I didn't sleep a lot, pretty much. Yeah. And
so while during the first marriage, you were learning real estate skills. You weren't on paper. You didn't build a portfolio of experience to show lenders.
Yeah.
And then had a life change and decided to teach abroad to kind of reset.
I had always wanted to live abroad. I was a big travel person. I think I get that from my grandma because she's very much the historian, and there's limited history with such a young country here. But I had done a few travel abroads, and I had always wanted to live abroad, and that was a big reason why he and I split as well, was because I was like, I want to live.
I'm going to China.
So
Could be a deal
I want to
killer.
buy real estate and go to China.
yeah, well, I wanted to buy real estate when I was in China too, but there was
In China?
yeah, because there's a lot of real estate there you can get pretty cheap.
Yeah,
and-
don't. There's a reason.
Yeah, they take it away from you.
yeah,
Supply demand ratio is not in your
Yeah.
favor.
You don't really own it.
yes. That's why I didn't buy it. But I came back home because COVID was starting to become more of an issue. And also I had kind of come up with the concept of I wanted to own a few hostels in some of the countries that are my favorite, because my big thing is I really like a community and making sure that everyone feels welcome. And like, I think that that's a huge part of SRE. I've always felt welcome in that community. But that's why initially I was like, okay, I'm not going to stick it out with my friends who stayed in Hong Kong during COVID. I'm going to come home. So decided that, left from Bali, went back, packed up my apartment in 2 days, and then left out of one of the last flights out of Shenzhen to Japan. And then from Japan, I got to Hawaii, and then Hawaii back to PDX. It was kind of a crazy experience because then, as we all know now, what happened, I would have been stuck there for a year and a half.
This afternoon, I leave for Tokyo, and I've never been to Japan. Do you have any? Give me one bit of advice that I need that nobody's told me yet.
Well, I can't give you. So Japan was the one country I didn't get to go to. I was supposed to go in March of 2020.
Oh, you landed and left?
I landed and left because it was pretty much you just.
That was during COVID?
Yes.
Oh, they wouldn't let you in.
They wouldn't even let you out of the airport.
If there's a pandemic, leave immediately.
Yeah.
That's a good bit of advice.
Yes. Well, I had COVID before it was even called COVID. They were calling it the new pneumonia
Yeah.
in a broken translation.
This is while you're in China?
yeah, and
Did
they were
you
like,
take it to China?
Did I take it to China?
We
No.
found ground zero. Patient zeros, Kelsie LPJ.
My mom does think I'm patient zero for the States because I came back to visit in December, and I think in like early January was when the first cases
Oh,
were
thanks
here.
for bringing us COVID,
Yeah, it came through
Kelsie.
I'm
We
so
appreciate it.
sorry. I didn't know it was
Did
that
you fly
bad.
through Seattle on your way back?
I didn't.
That's where it came into the States?
Yeah, I did
Seattle.
not. I think it was Portland. So,
Okay.
or no, it was LA to Portland. So yeah, it wasn't.
You could tell your mama wasn't you.
It wasn't.
Wait, what are you going to Tokyo for or Japan for?
Just to go see it.
Do you have an agenda already?
Yeah, I had ChatGPT write me. I said,
Really?
I told ChatGPT, I said, pretend you're the world's best travel agent and make me a trip for 2 weeks. I want to do Tokyo and Kyoto, and these are the things I nerd out on. I like this kind of food and this kind of stuff. And we started with that and turned it into a spreadsheet, and then we customized it from there.
Yeah, because I'm going a month after you or so.
To go snowboarding.
I don't know. My travel agenda is, hey, Dane, what are we doing in Tokyo?
Well, I'll be able to tell you guys some things when I get back in a couple weeks.
The other thing you can do is just look at the city you're going in Instagram, and it'll pop up all the reels, and the reels will tell you like which cafes to go to and what parks you need to see. But also, why are you not going during cherry blossom season?
Because I live in Salem, where you can go down to the Capitol Mall and walk around, and there's cherry blossoms here already. So, and I heard it's really busy that time of year.
And
So
with Mount Fuji in the background.
Yeah, how I travel is I plan nothing, and then Dane buys my plane ticket for me, and then he tells me, hey, we're leaving tomorrow. I say, oh, shoot. And then we end up wherever.
That's how I went to Beijing. It was great.
Yeah.
My best friend planned the whole trip, and we died on the Great Wall. It was wonderful.
What do you mean you died on the Great Wall?
Like it was a lot.
Oh, walking? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 100. I don't know how long it is. But
you can see it from space.
Yeah.
It's big.
It's a lot, but definitely one of the coolest experiences. Definitely have to go do it. So
So
if
did
you're
you
going to
li-
run your 100 miles, do it on the Great Wall.
I got to start that again, and I don't want to do it there.
Did you like China?
I loved it. No, like I always planned to build a portfolio and then retire there. But
Do you want to be there? You love it that much?
the food is amazing. The food we have here that's supposed to be Chinese
Is
food
not.
is just
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah.
So Chinese barbecue is like the best food.
Okay.
I've had.
Dane just wants to go there to feel tall.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Poor Dane, not even here to protect himself.
We got to tease him since he's at a wedding.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
Always. Okay, so go back. You said that you learned the rule that you have to be 20% or more owner. So your parents were putting you on deals or no? So you
No.
had the experience in real estate, but when you went to go use that with lenders and so on, partners, you said, I've been involved in real estate, but I haven't been on as ownership. So it didn't count as experience to the banks is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, when I first came home, I did a wholesale without realizing it was a wholesale. It was actually on a building that Trevor lost a lot of money on, unfortunately.
How much did you make on it?
30 grand.
Oh, nice,
yeah.
nice. I lost like $250,000.
Oh, damn.
And that's how I think he met my dad and all that.
Yeah, through that. To be fair, it was a good deal if you had the right team in place still.
Yeah. I don't know if what they did with it was honestly worth it, because it should have been like retail below commercial.
Yeah, no, that could have easily, if we had Mark doing that deal, we could have done it a dozen ways, made a couple $100,000. So I learned on that deal, it's all about the team. The deal is not the most important part. It's the team. That deal could have been half as good in different team, and we would have made way more money, and I wouldn't have lost $250,000.
I just don't know why they went residential, because that's ridiculous, I think.
I like that Kelsie made $30,000 on your deal.
Yeah. I do too. That's awesome. I learned more than her, though.
So, the rule here is be a wholesaler, not an investor with the wrong partners.
You're not investing.
I wasn't an investor. I was an idiot.
You're not investing in the deal. You're investing in the operator.
Yeah. I wholesaled that. I was under contract for both of those at the same time, but I was home at that point for COVID and just out of COVID a little bit. This was, I think, summer-ish time of 2020. And I was still a little bit delusional that COVID was going to get better so that I could go abroad again. I got accepted into a Master's of Fine Arts in Italy for 2 years. And it was more just like a way to travel again and a way to be out of
Sounds
America.
like a really expensive way to travel when you could just go to Italy.
Well, yeah, but you can't go for 2 years.
Why not? You need a visa thing?
You have to have a visa.
Just leave every 90 days or whatever it is and come back in.
A visa run. Those
Cross
don't
the
work
border
as
and come
easily.
back?
Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
That doesn't work as easily in
Okay.
Europe or in the EU. You can do that in Asia, though. People do it all the time. So, no, so I was still delusional into that. And then COVID basically made that whole program shut down. Like, they just couldn't financially afford to get all of their current students home during COVID or house them during the pandemic. So they just took care of their kids and then closed up shop, basically, which was terrible for me because I had been accepted and it was an honor. They only accept 7 people total every year. So out of like almost 3,000 applicants,
Oh, wow.
I was selected, and I was like, this
That's
is a
heartbreaking.
huge honor, right?
Yeah.
And then it just fizzled out.
But now you own more real estate, so it all worked out.
Yeah.
And now you can just go to Italy whenever.
Yes.
Not for 2 years.
Not for 2 years.
2 years in Italy would be a nightmare.
Well, you got to operate a hostel somehow. You know?
There you go. Yeah. So,
COVID shut down.
the other house that I was under contract for, I had gotten accepted, and the simultaneous close wholesale, where I made the $30,000 off of your project, was done. And I had to basically, I'm going to go to Italy. So I got rid of that project. I was like, I'm going to.
Did you wholesale it also?
No, I didn't. I got out of the contract before the due
yeah.
diligence period. So, and it was basically an illegal apartment in the garage that you get all over Monmouth, and a tiny little cottage in the back that I was like, I could maybe make that into a tiny house.
So what kind of deals were you trying to do starting out? Were you just trying to wholesale or do any like you just saw something like, I'll just figure out how to make this work? Or were you looking for something specific?
Shiny object, 100%.
Yeah.
I had no concept of the education that exists on the internet or podcasts or SRE meetups, anything like that.
Yeah, because what you did that I really admire was you went and met with all the people who were doing the thing. So like you met with us, Gabe, Chad, Mark, like you found all the people who were doing the deals I think you wanted to be doing and learned as much as you could about them before you even jumped into one. So you got a good grasp.
Yeah,
or as good as you can before doing it.
That came later though.
Okay.
Because this was still early on where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then my mom's like, you have to go look at that house that's now my cottages. And I was like, I don't really want that big of a project right now. I'm going to start grad school for teaching, because I was like, I need my W-2. It was the whole chicken egg thing, I guess, a little bit, where it's like, I need my money so I can do the deal, rather than realizing if I just have such a good deal, I don't really need the W-2. And then that's when I kind of randomly came across an Instagram reel, and I was like, wow, there's this whole part of the internet that's just all about real estate investing. And then the whole world just like blew apart.
What'd you find? What'd you come across?
It was a gal who's doing out-of-state investing specifically. I think her name's pronounced like Soli or something like that. Her Instagram handle is lattes and leases.
Oh yeah, I've seen her.
Yeah.
She raises money and she buys like single families or Airbnbs or something. I saw her at BP.
She just started a hotel in Palm Springs though. So
Lattes and leases.
yeah, which I was like,
She's like
I love coffee and I love leases.
and you
so
probably
that's great.
related because she was similar age to you too, and doing deals that. Yeah, she's like 30, right?
I think she's a little bit older, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, basically I realized, okay, the internet, like Facebook and Instagram, I wasn't somebody who was like seeking information on there very much. I was very much an in-present person. I just found BP podcast. I found Choose FI podcast, absorbed all of the information I possibly could. And then I randomly met Mike at Isaac's. And I was like 7 months pregnant with my second kid at the time. And I'm like overhearing him on the phone. I'm like, he sounds like a real estate agent.
You're spying on me.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to meet Mike, go to Isaac's downtown Salem. He's there 7 days a week sitting on the street corner. That's also where I met Mike.
Yeah.
A lot of relationships started.
I was a little rude and I was like, oh, you must be like a realtor or something like that.
He's like, damn you, how dare you, blasphemy.
Yeah. And he was like, well, you should go to this SRE meetup. Like, are you interested in meetups? And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing in Salem. So fast forward to having my daughter, I was just losing it to postpartum anxiety and depression. And my husband's like, you need to go do something that's just for you. What can you go do? I went to Rio, which is up in Portland and Tualatin, the Women Real Estate Investors of Oregon, February summit. Loved it. Was like, wow, everyone's such a welcoming
What year was
community.
this?
This was,
21, 22?
I think it was 22.
Okay. Yeah, ballpark, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't actually know.
That's fine. I'm just
Okay.
general.
I think it was 22 because I think that's around when I met you all, which would be about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was 23.
23?
Yeah.
Okay, February. And then in July, yes, 23 because of my kid. July is when I met him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had my kiddo. And in 24, I went to an SRE meetup. And I was like, wow, same community. Everyone just wants to help everyone. Everyone wants to make sure that they can spread their information and help other people grasp that information and do what they can with it. And then that's when everyone's like, well, you need to meet with Gabe. You need to meet with Trevor. Actually, the first person I talked to at the SRE meetup was while you guys were presenting that you have this new podcast. And this was like on the screen. I was talking to Dane. I was like, so what do you do in real estate? And he was like, that. And pointed at the thing. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that was rude of me again. So yeah, essentially it was just kind of growing and education along the way. But I do feel like I have an imbalance currently where I'm like, I was doing all this learning and then I was just in the action phase. And now I need to find that balance where I'm still learning and still taking action.
Oh, those actions are teaching you everything you need to know.
Plateaus are
Action is the highest form of intelligence, someone once told me.
you gotta plateau to grow.
Yeah, well, I think I'm in the plateau. So
You got a huge project that's not yet off your plate.
Yeah.
You can't grow until it's off your plate.
yes.
Yeah. You can
So-
stress out. You can challenge yourself. You can start the process to add more responsibilities, which will make you grow. But until you can physically and emotionally and mentally get yourself removed from that project, you've got a plateau in your life.
Let's talk about your cottage cluster a little bit.
Well, before we dive into that,
Okay.
let's talk about your stress you went through. So
Well, that's kind of what I was getting to.
Well, before that even, so I described Kelsie, this is probably not an accurate description, but I was like, Kelsie has the biggest balls of anyone I've ever met.
She does.
And Kelsie is the first women guest, so I don't know if that fits. But when people ask like about that project where I'm like, Kelsie's insane, because you were going through, when I first met you, you had like, you had done a couple projects or something, but essentially you had negative cash flow to a point that was really hard. And I was like, trying to think, because I had done the same thing. I'm like, yeah, you must be stressed to the max.
She was servicing a loan on the dirt that was like $9,000 a month, weren't you?
Yeah, can you tell us about whatever you were?
not
Wasn't it
again.
you had a big nut on that thing though that wasn't generating any income?
Tell us, how you got to that point and kind of what happened.
Are we into episode number 2 already?
No.
We'll get into that.
Okay, so this project I bought, and it was technically like the first property I purchased. It was an old shitty house. We were going to turn it into a duplex, put a fourplex on the back. No big deal. But it's been very creative.
No big deal.
I've had a hard money loan on it 3 times now and a bank loan on it once. It's just basically been a process of finding the money to service debt and give me cash to be able to do the development. But yeah, I think that there's a few times when I was meeting with Trevor, or even when I met with Gabe, where he's like, wait, how are you financially making that work? And I was like, I don't know some days. And then I figure it out because I have to, right? Like, I got kids.
Dive into like what that actually was, though, for the listeners, because there's probably a lot of people going through the same thing and they're wondering, how do they get out of their problem? So share us, like, what point were you actually at? What was that bleed? How much were you making type of thing? And how'd you get out of it?
Somebody who gave me some really good advice, / also I went on a really fun ride along the first time I met them, which was Gabe. Basically was I needed to grow out of my problems. So it was go find a flip and make that money you need, or find other income. Don't go and get another W-2 because that honestly will not solve your problems. I can't honestly.
Because you had like what was your bleed monthly?
I mean, a big portion of it was just the HELOC that I originally had, and then my hard money loan where I was able to get, because I had so much equity.
But you were making like 40, 50, 60 grand, right, as a teacher or something, and you had like an $80,000 payment on the year or something like that.
When we had that conversation, actually, I was a part-time teacher, so I was probably making like less than $30,000 a year. And then my husband makes, he was working 3 different jobs because he's changed jobs, and now he's with his dream job. But and now he makes about $114,000. He was making, I think, like $78,000.
Yeah, so you guys have your living expenses plus this, and you're like negative $3-5 grand a month or something after everything.
Yeah, and then we had a single family that made $150 cash flow, which is
that helps.
It really was.
That almost gets us there. That's a start, guys.
No, because the bathroom remodel and the roof repair, it was very much.
The building needs work too.
So how did you like service this? You didn't go into default, right?
Nope. One day at a time. Honestly, it was literally just every single week figuring out how I can. I don't know, wring every single cent out of everything I was doing. So I used to flip cars when I was in college. So I had a good number of valuable-ish vehicles that I could sell. So my Centurion 95 old body style Ford, sold that. Took a loss on it just because I needed $6,000.
Yeah.
So that sucked, but you know, my fifth wheel's stuck where it's at right now because it's also the only way I could move my fifth wheel. Yeah, it was just buying and selling a car if I needed to. It was selling anything that wasn't nailed down. It was not getting coffee. I mean, there was times where I'd go to coffee with Mike and he's always late. No offense.
Oh, I love this podcast.
No, I'm never late.
Mike calls us out for being late all the time.
I usually would be early. There was a few times I was late too. But so I would text him and be like, hey, what do you want for coffee? And I have like $5 in my account. I'm like, am I going to be able to even buy him coffee?
I'll have a water.
But of course I still buying him coffee because he's teaching me. And of course it's like that's worth well over the hour that,
Yeah.
he's spending.
Mike, that's messed up of you to make Kelsie buy you coffee.
He didn't know
at that point.
You don't tell everyone, I am so bad with money that I just,
I have $5.
I have $5.
You're not so bad at money. You are just in a non-covered land play that you're learning the difficulty of a non-covered land play.
I did it the hardest way possible, for sure. Like, there's definitely a lot easier ways. But
that's why it's cool.
Yeah.
That's why I like talk about it.
Part of it's that ego, though, a little bit, and being taught by my dad, where it's just like, I will not partner with somebody. But if I really would have went and partnered with somebody, I could have saved a lot of these growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
But
you're probably better in the end, though. Like, you'll net more. The experience you gained is significantly different. Like your husband was a part of it, getting the 3 jobs while trying to keep an eye on a dream job to work for that. So you just rallied and...
Yeah. Well, he didn't have 3 jobs at once.
3 different jobs.
Okay.
During that time.
Going through that time.
Yeah. Because somebody has to take care of the kiddos when I'm not there.
Was there a strain on your relationship during that time where it's like, man, we're working our butts off and we have no money because we got this property that we can't figure out what to do with?
Yes and no. He fully has 100% faith as far as the real estate side of things. He just kind of would almost blindly follow to a certain extent, whereas a lot of times I'm like, why did you let me do that?
But you're leading the charge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is why at Mike's meetup, he wore a name tag that said Kelsey's husband the whole night instead of just Taylor. Yeah.
He's a very laid back dude. Like his risk tolerance is very high.
All right.
And his desire to support is very, very
Well, you
high.
got the right spouse.
He has full faith and blindly followed to a certain extent. And if I was like, hey, we need to do this, he'd just be like, all right, let's do it. Help me figure it out, you know?
Were you in your dad's ear a lot about this during these hard times, asking him for advice?
Actually, my mom's the money side. So, you know, when you're trying to stretch the dollar, that's all my mom's side. So that's why people say I'm a good split between my dad and my mom, is because I'm doing both of those things. But yeah, no, you asked if there was like strain, and I would definitely say that we have 3 kids, so there's strain no matter what. And then I am unfortunately part of the group that has the postpartum depression and anxiety really bad. So like just that in general, there will just be days where I'll just flip a switch and I'll be like,
Can't move.
I can't even look at you.
Yeah.
Like I will claw your eyes out if you look at me. Like, leave me alone.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be careful.
So how'd you
It's only to my spouse.
Oh, okay.
It's always
All right.
one person pointed. So.
how'd you deal with the stress though? Because you're like, holy crap! Like I'm losing a lot of money. I'm not really making more. Like, how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis and keep moving forward? Because most people stop if they get in that
Especially if you
situation.
got kids.
Yeah.
And most women are more risk averse, I find. Like, usually the conversations we're having is like the guy wants to go run around, do crazy deals, and it's the wife who's going, no. We've got to like make sure we've always got a roof over the kid's head. We got to have food on the table. Like, women are typically a little bit more reserved when it comes to investment.
But I will say that you guys have mentioned that a few times on the podcast, and every single time I just resent that completely because
Tell us.
I know at least a dozen women who are very similar to me. I mean, there's
a lot more than a dozen women out there, though.
no, I'm saying I specifically
You know, because
a
you
dozen.
attract them because you're a special kind of woman that
Yes.
is not risk averse like this.
Yes, my huevos are large enough. So.
Yeah, they are. Trevor just said it. Yeah. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. When I met you, were you pregnant?
No, that was, I think my daughter was like 6 months older.
Because that's one of the craziest parts of the story to me, is to see you like as you're growing with this baby inside you, and you're taking on this huge project, and you're out there building this development while you're pregnant. I mean, it's already enough to be pregnant, and then to do that on top of it is a lot.
Well, yeah, and you also don't know the half of it yet. So
Tell us.
we bought the house in March of 21 because it's the same year that we had our first daughter. I was also accepted and started graduate school in June. In October, I started working full-time as a teacher. So I was going to graduate school full-time, and I was having a baby. My daughter actually went to like a few of my graduate classes with me. So I got my master's in teaching and worked full-time at Sprague High School for that whole year that you take to get your MAT. And working through a development, which I later tried to sell to Trevor. And he was like, I don't want that. It's good cash flow. It's like, okay. So, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I was just like fumbling around through the dark. So like in 1 week, I'd probably send off 3 emails to the city. It was going really slow because I was just surviving, right? And so I was working full-time, going to school full-time, had a baby in November of that year, and then had a newborn that entire time. So that was kind of a lot in itself. And then didn't really know what the
Kind of a lot.
Yeah, like how I'm trying to get to like how did
figure it out.
How'd you wake up and keep going and not get discouraged? Because most people quit at that point.
You can't quit when you got kids.
Most people don't quit. They crawl. They slow down to a crawl, and that's part of growing out of your problems. Is you got to take action in other arenas, but you still have this one that you got to get out of. So that one slows down while you're speeding in the other, right? So you go get your master's. She's thinking of other ways to go increase her income to offset this debt issue, but at the same time, she's sending 3 emails to the city. So she's trying to figure out the problem, but she's also spending a lot of energy getting out of the problem through the income side.
Did you ever think about stopping? You're like, I could just stop all this now and not deal with the stress.
There's a few times looking back where if I would have just taken the original hard money loan where I got like an extra $20,000 and just started the project with the information I know now, I could have saved myself so much energy and time and a lot of money. So I didn't know any of that yet. I had to just deal with the process of learning.
Instead of taking that hard money loan, what did you do? What was the path you took that you would not take again?
I took the hard money loan, but the problem is instead of just focusing on the project, I went and did all the shiny objects to service the debt that I didn't really need to, because looking back now, I'm like, I can stretch the dollar. So like what I've learned in the last year, 2 years is I had this expectation for myself / like society puts on you where you have to work that W-2, right? That 9 to 5 is the only way to make money. And if you leave it, you won't be able to pay your bills. And I also have 2 parents who were both teachers at one point, and they were kind of ringing in my ear a few times, like, oh, don't leave your job. You need that job. It's how you're going to pay for your real estate.
Which is crazy because your dad just does deals now.
Yeah, and I was like, how could you're such a hypocrite, because like this is what you've been doing since 2008. Why can't I do it?
Because he was willing to take the risk for himself, but not his daughter. He wanted you to have safety and security, probably.
Probably, yes. But there's also some like internalized misogyny there too, where he just keeps being like, you don't need to be on your job site. You need to be home with your kids. Go find your kids. And I'm like, well, that's different because I'm the GP.
But you take your kids to the job site.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Well, you're in the cash flow mindset versus like an equity mindset, right? And so what you've learned is that if you would have not focused on trying to increase your income to make your cash flow better, because cash flow is safe, is freedom, and that's what everyone wants. Well, you want to have more income than debt, but it's the equity that creates the safety. So if you just would have gotten your hard money loan, focused on that, got the plan done, got entitlement done, then you get the equity bump, and then you create equity. And that's now what you've realized is completing that vision and getting that vision approved now gave you something that was worth so much more that now you had a magnet to go attract more capital, which at capital you can live off with the fee structure that you build into your construction loan. But realizing that first equity bump changes now how you see cash flow versus equity. That's what I've witnessed over the past 2 years.
Yeah, I would also say that without the time passing, I wouldn't have been able to do, because like a cottage cluster wasn't allowed until we had middle housing change. So
the project got better.
Yes, it was one of those things where like the universe, I was right where I was supposed to be when I needed to be.
Because when you bought it, you had a plan, but it was just duplex and fourplex, and it turned into something much bigger.
Yeah, 15 units. So essentially, I don't know. It's just kind of continually grown and gotten better and better. And I think that there was a bigger pockets, or maybe it was on your guys' podcast, where there was, I think maybe actually it was Mike who said it on the podcast. You were basically like, you're in the right deal because it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, that's one of the spiritual principles of real estate.
Other spiritual principle, it always works out in the end.
Good deal gets better and better.
Yeah.
Good deal gets better and better.
So then I just had to figure out how to make a good deal to make it better and better, because I had already made it a deal that wasn't getting better and better. And then I just realized that ultimately it's not up to the deal if it's good or not.
Yeah, it's not magic.
It's up to the operator or the person.
You got to make it happen.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you can hear yourself in the story you're telling, but you're not a normal person.
I hear that a lot, yes.
I want to know, where does the fire come from? Like, I mean, to do all of this, to be going to grad school and working a full-time job and like being pregnant, raising children, and bringing a development out of the ground. This is your first deal, and you're building 15 units. Like, this is not normal. So you understand, or maybe you don't understand, but people tell you you're not a normal person in a good way. But I want to know, like, where does this drive come from?
It's normal to me. So that's why I'm like, in my perspective, anybody could do this, right? Like, it's just,
she's building houses at 2 in her diaper, stepping on nails.
Yeah,
you're being around real estate and taking the kind of risk she's taking while doing all these other things. I mean, it's superhuman.
Is it a learned trait, or
are your parents like you?
My dad is. My mom always calls herself the Steady Freddy.
So dad's a gas pedal, mom's a brake pedal, and you kind of got a little bit of both, but you're mostly gas pedal, it sounds like. Yeah,
my dad, as they would all say, like, he would work like a bat out of hell and finish a project with quite a bit of speed. He doesn't want to admit it, but he's getting older and that speed slowed down. So we need to learn to delegate. But still, I I surprisingly, I don't do drugs. So
you don't need to.
The last person that was like, wow, that takes a lot of energy and whatever, they were like, do you do cocaine? And I was like, I don't, I promise.
That's not the answer. Trust me.
Yeah. So I honestly don't know, I guess, besides like a large amount of personal expectation and
are you having
goal
fun?
Setting.
Is it fun for you?
Yeah, like I would say waking up every day to go and teach was exhausting after a few years. Not in China, but then again, I only did it for a year. But I loved it there. Teaching here is exhausting. I don't want to be somebody's therapist and teacher and all of the things. But waking up at 6:30 every day to go to my job site, that's my job site that I have complete control over.
You're
I
excited.
get to decide who I hire.
Yeah.
And I can bring things back to my community, hire people within my community, make it something where I have control over that. I think that that's definitely a lot more fun or exciting.
It's more fulfilling for sure. You're a true entrepreneur. You're solving a problem. You wake up every day and you've got something to do. You have a mission.
Yeah, and I always felt like I was going to do larger things or I was capable of it. It was just what and when.
And what makes you want to do larger things? Are you money driven?
No, I would say maybe it's just pride or ego, I would say.
Are you trying to prove something to yourself or somebody else?
I think for a long time I was trying to prove something to my parents. But through the last 2 years, I've realized that I will never have fulfillment through that path. And so if anybody's listening that is trying to do that, no matter what you do, you could go and do a $3 million project in a year if that's what you're after, and your parents are still not going to see you the way that you want to be seen.
Yeah, you're still their kid.
You're still the kid in diapers or the one that was screeching in their ear in the back of the car.
I wanted to make my parents proud, and I go tell my parents what I do, and they don't even understand what I do.
Mom doesn't even know that you own buildings, dude. He's like, yeah, Gabe sells houses.
The other day, I owned 5 property management companies. I said, no, not quite. We're getting closer, but we're not there yet. Of course, I know what you do. You do real estate. So I'm sure your parents are proud of you.
For sure. Yeah. They do understand what I've been doing. I think it's just a difference of your expectation of what you want them or whoever it is, whether it's a spouse or parent or a sibling, to see, or a mentor maybe. You're not actually going to ever get that total fulfillment. So it's better to just find that in yourself.
So you've evolved. You've leveled up to the point where instead of trying to make mom and dad proud, you're trying to be proud of yourself. Now you got to look in the mirror and say, I did it.
Yes, and also I would say part of that is becoming a parent, where it was, I want my daughter to be proud of what I've done, or I want to make sure that my daughter is proud of the time lost with me is something that she finds valuable. I didn't waste time away from her.
Yeah, you weren't out partying.
Yeah.
You were doing something.
Yeah, I was building something for her, for all 3 of my kids. So when I bought my project, I had my daughter, I bought the project. 3 days after closing, found out I was pregnant with my first.
I think with your second, I think Kelsie told me this, how she found out she was pregnant is when I was trying to run the 100-mile. Kelsie came out and ran a few miles with me.
Yeah.
And then she texted me the other day. She's like, I realized why I was so tired. I just found out I was pregnant.
Yeah. Well, I'm never somebody who will throw up when I'm running too. And the entire time I was like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. What
That's
the
a
hell's
sign.
going on? And so I was like, okay, I have to do at least 2 miles because that's pathetic if I don't. And so I did the 2 miles, and I'm just wandering, off the track. My husband comes and picks me up with the kids, and I think 2 days later I was like, oh shoot, okay, that's what it is. And so my Juniper was I think, or was that was recent actually. That was my third baby.
Third one.
That was my Mac.
Yeah.
No, but this whole project is a huge if you want to be, I think this is more Mike's side of things, but it's a little bit more sentimental, I guess. Anyway, it's closed on the project. 3 days later, found out I was pregnant with my oldest. My middle baby was when I was going through all of the learning growth and taking all that time to just be a sponge and take, there was things that I was learning that I didn't know I needed until the time came. And then closed on the construction loan. A week later, found out I was pregnant with Mac. So it was just I started and completed my family with this one project, but also like had this exponential growth of like huge equity that should just catapult me into the next 4 or 5 deals.
I love it. I remember one day we walked out of the SRE. It was late, 9:00 at night or something, and you were in the middle of something on this project, and it was, everything was going wrong. And I said, "Do you ever just want to give up?" And you made a comment about, you said, "Well, I can't. My kids can't see me give up. Like I got to show them that I can get this done, and that if you stick with something, that you can just take it through to the end and make it happen." And so your kids are obviously, even though they don't know it now at this age, you're hoping that one day they're going to be doing something and they're going to remember Mom did not give up.
I hope so. Yeah, I think that a large part of your character and integrity is how much follow through and how much, like, I have a lot of people in my life that I've met who are all talk, or they'll have all the intentions of doing what they say 100%, and then they never
do
follow
it
through. And it's just, to me, that's like the lowest form of humanity.
Character, no character.
So, to me, it's like really important. And I think that, like, honestly, my high school soccer coach, I made some poor choices. I drank at a party. I might have brought the alcohol myself. And I got kicked off the team for like 2 weeks, and he took pity on me because I was otherwise a really good kid. But he was the one that really enforced the character and integrity for me, because I felt so bad disappointing him in that moment. And I was looking back recently and thinking, without that moment, or without him just like forcing me to grow up and not be an immature kid, I probably would have made much different choices, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
He was a good mentor for you.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
So
you need those mentors in your life. Coaches are oftentimes very good mentors.
Yeah.
Like Mike, he's our coach.
Your spiritual coach, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. You just blow me away. It's so impressive, the things that you're doing. So do you want to talk more about the cluster at all, or do you want to wait and come back and do that on the next one?
We'll dive into the specifics of it in the next episode.
Okay.
Well, to wrap it up, kind of like what we've really talked about is your purpose has changed probably 3 or 4 different times in the past 8 to 9 years. As your vision has increased, your vision has shrunk, your vision has gone left, it's gone right, it's gone north, it's gone south. And kind of to piggyback that on with the idea of a plateau. And all your children is, you had your first children as you started to climb up to the plateau you're in.
There's only 3.
That's what I mean. Your 3 children.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said all. It's like I don't have a herd. It's
3 is quite a
3
few.
is all.
3 is quite a few.
Yes, 3 is that. You can start saying all.
I had 3. I thought it was a herd.
But the first one is you start climbing the mountain to the plateau you're in. Second one, figuring out the plateau that you're on and how do you get out. And then the third one is you're climbing out of your plateau. And to see you eloquently stated it, to see you change your purpose from proving your parents wrong to creating a future for your daughters changed you significantly over the past 5 to 6 months to see you go through that process. So that's kind of, I just wanted to make note of that as we wrapped it up.
I would say there was actually, we were having coffee one time, and he was like, "You just seem like you're sitting different." And I took that home with me, and I was like, I don't know what he fully means. And that really sat with me for a few months. And then I realized it was like this nervous energy that I was possessing, where I was just seeking knowledge so I could get somewhere. And then I finally felt like I was aligned.
Yep.
And it wasn't something I would have ever really taken the time to reflect and had the information enough to reflect to see that I had done that.
That's a really good word, because you were someone who was not aligned, couldn't figure out where you wanted to go. To wrap it up, now you know exactly where you're going. You are in alignment. You have gone through shit tons of struggles. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, whereas you couldn't even see the tunnel before. And so then the energy that you started to bring to those conversations wasn't, I need to learn my way out of this. It was, okay, I'm on the right path. Now, how do I maximize the path that I'm on? What are the right strategies at this point? How do I start looking at life beyond this project? And so now you are an entrepreneur thinking beyond what you're going through, still going through it and still trying to work your way through it. But now you can see the forest for the trees. And that brings a whole different conversation to the table. That's what I witnessed.
How many people told you not to do this project?
I'm not sure anybody. Like for cottages specifically, I don't think anyone said not to do
And
it.
even your parents were never like, no, don't do that. That's too big. It's too much. It's not going to work.
I don't think my parents, that's not really in their vocabulary.
Not very many
to be
naysayers?
like, yeah. I think if I were to talk to my siblings about it, they'd be like, yeah, don't do that. I think that if I talk to, nobody I think was ever being like, don't do this. I think that
Do you think they really thought you were going to do it though? I mean,
most people I think that know me know that I would do
right,
it.
right.
But I think there was maybe that for a second there's some people who were not necessarily saying don't do it, but do it with help. And I was like, I want to touch every part of this, because if I don't get as much information out of it. And there's holes in my learning that I already knew that I needed. Like, I hadn't experienced part of the ground up where it's like the stem wall specifically. So I got to do that. I'd only ever seen my dad do it. So it was important to me that I did the whole project.
Well, you came at it from the angle of a student. You wanted to learn every piece. Instead of like me, I don't want to learn anything. I just want to go find people that know how to do it so I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite. By the way, I could never go do what you did. And when I met you, I was like, this sounds really cool, but I'm not sure you can pull this off. Like I wasn't a naysayer, but I was definitely like, I don't know. I think you got starry eyed.
Definitely mentioned in these rooms as you're going through that process.
I mean, I've always been rooting for you, but I'll be the first to say, like, you've gone far beyond what I ever imagined. I didn't know you really well in the beginning. I know you better now, but I would agree with Mike that you're a totally different person today than the person that I met before. You carry a different confidence, and you've solved so many problems now that going forward you're going to have more problems, but they're going to be different problems because now
and bigger.
They're going to be bigger. Yeah, you're going to level up and have bigger problems, but that's just part of the game.
I don't think you were alone in that feeling. I definitely think there were naysayers. It's just they weren't being directly said to me.
And usually that's how it is. I mean, most people are like, "Oh, yeah,
I can feel it though." I mean, it's fuel, right?
But at least when you come into a community like you were talking about at SRE, like at least everybody's like, "Hey, I don't really know if you can pull this off, but talk to this person, talk to that person. Here's a couple of ideas, and here's a couple things you might take." But
nobody even ever said that. Anytime I asked Trevor a question, honestly, I wouldn't even get any other words. It was just like a link or a document or somebody's phone number.
Yeah,
I'm direct.
You are such a dick. I was trying to get help, and he's like, "Here's a spreadsheet."
That's exactly what you need without all the fluff. You're welcome.
Video.
I just want to give you
that was helpful, right?
You're good.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I sent him a 10-minute video on how I underwrite deals with the whole spreadsheet.
If you need a hug, come see me. If you need a spreadsheet, go see Trevor.
I have a question. What's it like to be a woman in the real estate field that's like, especially on the investment side, dominated by male?
I would say it's like having to wait till 162 episodes before a woman gets on a podcast.
Hey, that's not on us. We've invited women on that have rejected our invitation.
Maybe that's because it took 162 episodes.
Now we'll have more. Kelsie is blazing the trail now.
Now we have evidence we can recruit other female investors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mentioned earlier my husband wore the little, like, Kelsey's husband name tag because a female in investing, automatically when I go to meetups, there's a good portion of people at meetups who are just assuming I'm somebody's spouse that's there. They're like, oh, you're just the wife or the girlfriend or whatever. So you have to deal with that. And it kind of becomes this whole thing where you don't want to be an ego, non-humble, like, asshole, basically, and be like, well, and just project drop, because essentially that's what I have to do just so that they don't write me off as somebody's spouse, I would say. I have to work a little bit harder, and there's all that feministic stuff where it's like, we have to work so much harder and we get paid less or whatever. But that's the cool thing about real estate is that whatever you do and whatever you put your name on and how hard you work, that's all proof right there. It's not somebody gets paid 70 cents, on the dollar.
That's right.
It's I'm making X amount of money on my flip because I did it all by myself. Cool, but it's not like I have to sit at a W-2. Like, if you're a feminist or you think you're a feminist, because there's a lot of different versions of that, go and be a real estate investor because you can do whatever the the heck you want.
It's a different navigation, though. Like knowing your audience, people come to you with assumptions, especially in the contractor world, and when you're hiring someone completely differently than when they would speak with someone like me. And so, even though you have the track record, even though you have the project, even though you have the way to get them paid, they're coming to you with a different mindset, and you have to navigate that differently. Where I can navigate it the same way every single time, because I'm given a certain level of respect immediately. And so you have to recognize, am I given a level of respect, and we can just communicate? If I show too much confidence, am I going to step on their toes, and is this going to be problematic? Is there even just a relationship we just have to avoid because we're never going to be able to see eye to eye? And so you have to navigate those waters in a way that we don't ever have to.
Yeah. I mean, even today, there's some people who have been on your guys' podcast that dress in like sweats and a t-shirt, and I'm like, the first woman on this podcast. I have to be a little bit more professional.
That's me.
Something
Are you
I
talking
have
about
to
me,
think about.
sweats and a t-shirt?
No, it was
me.
It was a guest.
Oh, it's me.
It was a guest. It wasn't you guys. Because I think you should be authentic to yourself always, but I also felt like I have to kind of show up a little bit differently. But there are contractors that I didn't hire because they spoke to my husband, who happened to be there when I was interviewing them, essentially. Not that you can speak to him, but like, he's not
running
the general
job.
contractor.
Yeah.
Like his name's nowhere on the general contractor or anything. Technically, he's part owner in the land and the development construction loan, but you don't get real estate advice from him because he'll steer you wrong.
Great example. Like when I go check on my projects, I'm the owner. I don't want to fucking talk to you. I don't have any answers for you. I'm not your leader. You don't be asking me any questions because that's not my job. My job is to check in, make sure my general contractor is managing the site properly. He has guys here and they know what they're doing. And if you're asking me questions, that slows everyone down. And so if you're in a dynamic where you're the contractor or the general, but your sub is wanting your husband because he's the owner to come talk and guide us, that's not.
Because he has a penis. That's the reason.
Yeah. So
I need to shave my head,
Yeah.
find a penis to go with my huevos, and then I'll be good to go. Yeah.
Let's clip that. That'll be a good clip.
and a good contractor should know that. They should know who the decision maker is and stop the runarounds, because at the end of the day, runarounds slow down everybody.
And he's been around construction the last probably 10 years or so, but I have, at least 5 or 10 years on that. So being around it my whole life, I got to see a lot more. And I, as much as my, parents maybe didn't always believe I was absorbing it all, that's one thing that I think has made my life easier, is that I have a very good memory and I can just literally absorb just all information. So
Pattern recognition.
So
yeah, probably.
As we close out, is there anything you want to say to our 3 women listeners out there?
I think we have more than 3.
Absolutely.
You probably have more than that. I would say find a way to drive yourself, get rid of the noise of the misogyny BS, because ultimately it's like, what are you capable of? And if you know that you're capable of it, then prove it, because that's the best way to do it, right?
Prove it.
That's what I did, is I put proof to what I knew I was capable of, even if people didn't believe it or not, because that ultimately they don't matter.
And if you want to talk to Mike, show up at Isaac's.
Yeah.
That $5 coffee is a good return on value.
All right, Kelsie, we're going to wrap it up. You are an inspiration to me and so many others. I'm super excited to talk more about your project in our next episode. If somebody wants to reach out to you for some advice so you can pass on the wisdom you've learned, how do they reach you?
You can look at, it's Kelsie LPJ on Instagram. I think it's at rei.odyssey, but I'm going to change that because there's been some spam.
So find you on social media, Kelsie LPJ.
Yeah, you can also just email me. It's really easy, kelsielpj@gmail.com.
There you go. Kelsie, thanks for being on the show. Deal Junkies, we love you. Please share this episode, and we'll see you next time.